Fáilte you're very welcome to this week's edition of the Irish at Home and Abroad and part 2 of our Wild Mayo special. Last week we started off at Ireland West Airport in Knock and made our way northwest following the coast and ended with a visit to Cleggan Island. This week we're on our way to Achill to meet tourism officer Sean Malloy at one of the smallest pubs in the country, Linus Bar.
Henry, you're very welcome to Achill.
Lovely to be here. What a place. Come in,
we'll have a quick pint before we show you the rest of Achill.
Lovely.
Okay?
Achill is known for its natural unspoiled beauty and features the highest sea cliffs in Europe, as well as one of the best beaches in the world, Kim Bay.
Kim Bay is absolutely spectacular. It regularly comes up in the list of top 10 beaches in Ireland and in Europe, and sometimes even the world. You must travel over sea cliffs for about 600 feet, but the views when you look down on that beach is spectacular. It's stunning. There's a blue way there at the moment, so you can rent snorkels, you can go out snorkeling in the bay there, you can rent canoes. The beach is absolutely beautiful. It's very, very sheltered, and you've got magnificent views of Minnon and right across to Clare Island and to Crowpatrick as well.
And you actually rediscovered a beach that
Yeah,
made world headlines.
It did, yeah. Back at Easter this year, Dwa Beach came back. Now, Dwa Beach was a very important beach for the village because obviously the tourism industry was set around it. But unfortunately, over the winter of 1984-85, the beach was completely washed away. And to one degree or other, it came back a little bit over the next few years, but it was only like just a little bit of sand. But this Easter gone by, we had a cold snap, and there was a strong north wind blowing for a period of 8 or 9 days, and between that and the tides, it brought up hundreds of thousands of tons of sand back. So it got the world's attention, basically, yeah. So
and is that beach there to stay now, or could you lose it again?
Well, we don't know. we know that it was there in the 1850s when people originally moved to Dwa, because that beach it provided the sand that they mixed with the bog to actually create the clay. And we know that in the 1890s, because there's pictures there of the shark fisheries there, and there's no beach. So we know that so it has come and gone in the past, but in living memory until the 1980s it was always there. So we're hoping to keep it for a good while to come.
You have an exciting project
Yeah,
where you benefit the island and tourists.
Over the next few years now, we're planning on developing a series of walks. Already the first one has been done, Sliabh Gráinne Whale, named after the famous pirate queen Grace O'Malley. That's on the southern end of the island. It's a magnificent walk. You start off with views heading over to the Curran Peninsula. It takes you around then looking out at Clare Island, looking back towards Achill Head, and then back towards Achill Sound then again. It takes about 3.5 hours, but it's well worth it.
After our chat, Sean brought me up to the site of the deserted village, where over 100 homes were once occupied up until the famine.
The deserted village, it's during the famine times, there was 137 houses there. At the moment, there's just under 90 of those houses are still remaining, and they're really a testament to how life was like in Achill, because Achill was a very, very poor place. In the 1850s, the people, they couldn't manage to make a living there anymore, between high rents and potatoes failing and stuff, so they moved down to the village of Dwa. But what was left behind turned into a bowling village. So bowling was a practice here that was used over many centuries, where the younger kids in the village would take the cows or the goats away from the village during summer months, look after them in a different location, and then return in the autumn. So it was used like that until the 1940s. But I think one of the most striking things that I can see when I tell people about it is that area has got lots of megalithic tombs. So we know that people have been living there for about 5,000 years. So it's a very rich kind of history that's there. Houses were taxed according to the number of windows and chimneys that they had. So they had a very, very small. But of course, the Irish being the Irish, and
they found a way around the problem.
They found a way around the problem. And the way around the problem is, and you probably didn't know this, but you'll see it's very common. But a half door.
Yes.
So they
that's where the half door came from.
That's where the half door came from. So when they opened the top door, the top part of it, they had a window, and it was a tax-free window. Now, you know the saying daylight robbery? Yeah. They think that that was an expression that originated because when they taxed the windows, they had to close up all the windows, so they were robbed of their daylight. And that's where the expression comes from.
Blown away by Achill's history and incredible beauty, we continued on our way. We passed through Newport with its impressive viaduct standing proud over the town and continued on towards Westport. This town has been voted Ireland's tidiest on several occasions and even won the Irish Times Best Place to Live in Ireland award in 2012. From Westport, we turn west, taking the road to Croagh-Patrick, and Tom has brought us to a small farm in the shadow of the mountain.
Henry, would you like a beer?
I certainly would, Tom, because I tell you, all this travelling now has made me thirsty.
Well, we're at the right spot. Best craft beer breweries in the west of Ireland.
Good, I'm looking forward to it. Here goes.
Good.
The small farm is the site of Mescan Brewery, where I'm meeting owners and operators Cillian O'Moran and Bart Adons.
Henry, you're welcome to Mescan Brewery.
Thank you, thank you.
We hope you're thirsty.
Absolutely. Cillian, how did Mescan Brewery come about?
It came about because Bart and I were looking for a new challenge after 25 years of working as farm animal vets, well, mixed animal vets, and we were sniffing around for something that we could do that didn't involve getting up at 4 a.m. on a regular basis. And we both had an interest in brewing since we were kids. We'd brewed as amateur brewers since we were youngsters. And Bart is from Belgium, where the beer is very much part of the culture of everyday life. So we would have spent a lot of vacations in Belgium trying different beers and, you know, getting to know the styles. So we thought, wouldn't that be something that's interesting? It's a mixture of art and science, and we thought that we'd give it a go.
And how's the brewery going for you now?
Going really well. We've developed very slowly, but that suited us to do it that way. We've grown bit by bit without incurring any loans or debts, and we sort of double our production every 18 months or so. Now we're at a stage where we hope to start making an income from it finally, which would be nice after 4 years. So Bart now works full time in the brewery. He's not a vet he's not working as a vet any longer, and I'm about to go full time in the brewery.
Now you have a number of different types of beers that you're brewing.
Yeah, we have 6 beers that we have available all of the time, and then we do specials periodically. So the first beer we launched was the kind of entry-level beer. It's a Belgian-style blonde beer, and that would still be the one that we sell the most of. But we also have a wheat beer, a stout, a strong Trappist-style beer. In Belgium, the Trappist monks make the best beer, and also the stronger ones tend to be from that stable. So we have a kind of homage to that called Red Triple. We have a Saison, which is also a blonde beer, but it's more summery and refreshing than the regular blonde. And we have a beer called Extra, which is a strong blonde. And it's possibly one of our favourite beers, but you can't drink too many of those.
So where can people get your beer?
So the majority of our beer is sold locally, but it's available nationwide. So they can theoretically get it anywhere in Ireland, but in Mayo particularly would be would be our home base, and especially around Westport, it's in most of the pubs. But generally anywhere in Mayo, you should be able to get us in pubs and restaurants and off licenses.
And what about future plans for the business?
So we would like to grow it a little bit more. We don't ever envisage being a huge concern, but we'd like to grow it a little bit more so that we can provide for ourselves and our families. And I think the idea would be really to make something that's small enough to be still enjoyable and still artisanal, but big enough to make a living from. Simple as that.
There you go, man. All right. Looks good.
Sláinte. Not too bad.
Oh, good. I like it.
Now we're going to take a short break, but stay with us for part 2. Fáilte, you're very welcome back to part 2 of the Irish at Home and Abroad and our Wilds Mayo special. Myself and my driver Tom O'Connor are at Runa Pier looking out at Clear Island, which was once the home of famous pirate queen Dráine Whale. Next up, we're off to Glen Keen Farm, where I'm meeting Catherine Powers to discuss how she turned a family farm into a thriving tourist attraction.
Catherine,
How are you?
lovely to
You're
meet you.
welcome. Good to see you,
Beautiful
Henry.
place you have here.
Thank you. You're
Beautiful.
so welcome.
Glen Keen Farm, it's a working sheep farm, and we have a commercial element now which opened in 2014. It's a visitor centre as well, where we do on-farm demonstrations for visitors, and we just promote our location in this beautiful EU designated special area of conservation. So my husband is American. We were living in the States, and my uncle, who was a Catholic priest in California, he was retiring and planning his retirement, and he called me up at my office in Washington DC one day, and he said, "Catherine, would yourself and Jim ever consider moving home and taking over Glen Keen?" I mean, we didn't have to think twice about it. We had this dream of an idyllic setting in the west of Ireland in a beautiful spot, and we moved back. My uncle moved back to retire. We soon learned that the dream of just farming alone here just wasn't viable. We couldn't sustain it. At the time, the farm required a lot of investment. So we really had to look at other avenues for creating a sustainable way of life. Growing up here, I grew up at Glen Keen. We'd always have visitors from all over Europe asking if they could camp, or coming onto the bog, taking photographs of my dad or my uncles cutting the turf, or moving the sheep. It was always people kind of wanting to enjoy the experience and photograph it. Also asking permission if they could hike on the farm and so forth. So over 10 years we planned and raised the money to build and open a visitor centre. We said, why not embrace tourism, embrace the Wild Atlantic Way, and share our farm with visitors from all over the world. And we are so grateful to our local community, because From the day we opened our gates, they have supported us. My cousin Mary B. Davitt she's a wool spinner. She's also a big knitter and supplies our craft shop. We have a felt maker, we have jewellery makers, we have local knitters, we have a potter as well, and he has actually just produced a Glen Keen Farm mug. We have a jam maker that is, we've brought on a line of Glen Keen jam as well. So all locally sourced produce. We didn't just build Glen Keen for Jim and Catherine Powers, we built it for the community. The farm is quite sizable. We have a share in 10,000 acres. We own 1,700 acres in the mountain, and we have a lowland farm as well. We do the on-site sheep herding demonstrations provided by myself and my husband and our sheepdog trainer George. We also do traditional turf cutting. We do scone making by my cousin Mary O'Malley, and we do a wonderful traditional Irish music session that now includes learning how to play the bowron, which is the Irish drum. So it's a bit of fun. We encourage Irish dancing as well, where our neighbours come up and they provide sean-nós dancing for the guests. We're going to focus on that, and we're really interested and excited for the future. Glen Keen is the Irish story. It's a true experience. What you get at Glen Keen when you visit here is you get real people, you get a real product, and a real experience.
Leaving Glen Keen behind, myself and Tom continue on our way, passing through the wonderful Delphi Valley. Along the way, we stopped at Delphi Lodge to meet General Manager Michael Wade to discuss this historic house. What a fabulous location. There must be a tremendous history to the place.
Well, we basically are a historic, very historic Irish country house. Originally an outpost fishing hunting lodge built by the Browns of Westport House. Today we still are a 1,000 acre estate with beautiful pristine lakes and a short beautiful mountain river, the Bundora River, running into Killery Harbour, into Killery Fjord. So we still are welcoming anglers from all over the world to this beautiful historic house in this beautiful region, particularly fly fishing for wild Atlantic salmon.
How many guests can you cater for here at the lodge?
We have 13 bedrooms in the lodge, and outside we have 5 very nice old world self-catering cottages. So realistically, the lodge is more or less full from 26 to 30 people. A particular theme of the lodge is that we have communal dining. So it's not a sit down for your romantic dinner with your wife or anything. It's everybody meets for drinks and canapes before dinner, several nationalities, and we all dine together at one large table, which is really, really special. And for most of our guests who, you know, are tourists travelling Ireland, this is unusual. This is the first time they've all met a whole load of new people, and a big long dinner, plenty of good local food, plenty of good wine.
What about future plans now?
I am very, very positive about the future. The Western Seaboard, the Wild Atlantic Way, our wonderful food, our culture, our history, our music, our people, everything, we all know about that. What I've noticed though is that the guest to Ireland is is progressing, is maturing. They're coming for the right reasons, and we don't leave a stone unturned at Delphi. Annually, every year, anybody in the region who wants a job, we make sure we get the local people working here, because that's where the characters are, that's where the true stories are. Our guests like to meet the farmers' wives, who might be our waitresses. They want to absorb themselves in the people, not just the history of the house and the food and everything of the area. Really, it's the people. The value is in us being ourselves, in the Irish being Irish, showcasing what maybe for a phase of our history we took for granted, but now we have correct and proper pride in our hospitality, in our food, our culture, and our history. And I think that I think in a world where travel and tourism is such a major part of the world now and going forward, I think we can not be complacent, but just relax and be ourselves.
Well, thanks very much for your hospitality. And a lot of people, if they want more information.
Yes, indeed. Well, you're very welcome, Henry. And for anyone who wants any information, it's just delphilodge.ie. Lovely. Thank you, Henry.
As we leave Delphi Lodge, Tom has promised me one last stop before our journey ends.
So now, Henry, here we are at the end of the road. Faithful old Model T has kept us going without a problem, and we're at the end of Mayo now. Across the bridge there, you're into Galway, the famous Ashley Falls. So now, what did you think of the scenery of Mayo?
Well, it's been an incredible, unique journey, Tom. First of all, you're a great chauffeur, and what a way to see the county, beautiful Mayo. From the start to the finish, I've never seen such incredible beauty and places to visit in all of my life, and I would certainly recommend anybody might get a chance to come in a Model T car, but whatever form of transport, make the journey. It's definitely worthwhile. It brings you close to nature again. It's a beautiful part of the world.
So that's the end of our journey. No doubt I'll continue to visit the iconic sites in Mayo for many years to come after this eye-opening trip. I must leave you now, but let me thank you for watching, and hopefully you enjoyed this as much as I have. Now don't forget, after the break, we'll be going over to Manchester as usual to join Martin Logan, who's out and about once again with the Irish community in the UK. So until next week, slán go fóill.